Hello, and welcome to part 1 of my Skyrim tutorial series, How to Make a Follower Mod like Lucian Flavius. Now, there was a part 0 where I went through all the hardware and software that you're going to need for this series, so do give that a watch if you haven't done already. But, assuming you're all good to go with the creation kit, today I'm going to show you how to start creating your follower. But before we do that, I just want to say I have a Twitch channel. It's twitch.tv/JosephRussellUK. I stream several times throughout the week, but most importantly, every Thursday at 5 PM BST, where I have my Skyrim modding workshop. And if you tune into that, you can feel free to ask me any modding questions you have, and I'll do my absolute best to answer them for you. Now then, let's dive into the CK! So here we are in the creation kit, and the first thing that you're going to want to do is go up to File and hit Data, which brings up a list of all the plugins you currently have installed in your Skyrim directory. Look at all of these, loads of mods there, but at the top you've got the official DLCs. So I'm going to check each of those in order to activate them, which will mean our mod has dependencies on Skyrim, Dawnguard, Hearthfire, and Dragonborn, which all Skyrim Special Edition players will have, and I'm going to do this to allow our follower to comment on the stuff in Dawnguard and Hearthfire and Dragonborn without needing any extra patches. So I'm just going to activate all of those. It'll let us have more than one because of that multiple masters fix that we talked about in the part 0. So when we've got all of those checked, you can just go ahead and hit OK, and it'll start loading them up. Now, this takes quite a while for it to do this, and it'll take even longer if you're using the classic creation kit, because you'll get a whole load of warnings that'll pop up where you'll have to click yes to all over and over again. You'll just have to keep clicking that as you get through each of them. Alternatively, if you're here on the Special Edition creation kit using Newchem's creation kit fixes, all of those dialogue warning boxes are suppressed, so it all loads up nice and quickly. So here we go. We're all loaded up, and you're going to want to start by hitting the save button, so we can give our ESP a name. Now, at this point, you're going to want to decide on a prefix for your mod. That's a unique up to 4-character code. It's got to be alphanumeric, so you can have A to Z, 0 to 9, and I think underscore. And that's going to be a unique code that's going to be at the start of your ESP name, and all the records in your ESP and all of your scripts. And that's going to make your life an awful lot easier when it comes to identifying which stuff is yours and packaging it up for an archive at the end. And it's also going to eliminate the risk of conflicting with other mods files, in theory. So this is going to be 4 characters. I always start with JR for Joseph Russell, because that's my name. And then I'm going to go with a number. Now, this is the 12th mod that I have made using prefixes, so I'm going to call this JR12 Tutorial Follower. There we go, and you'll see this is the ESP file type, which is your standard Elder Scrolls plugin. So we're just going to go ahead and click Save now. And there we are, we've named the mod. Now, while we're thinking about this prefix, we're going to apply that so that it shows up on all of our scripts as well. So you go File, Preferences, and just navigate to the right until you find scripts. Here we are. And then you can see fragment file prefix, 4-character limit, letters, numbers, and underscores only. And we're going to update that with our prefix for this mod, which is JR12. So just type that in and hit apply. And all our scripts will now be automatically prefixed with the code JR12. That will prevent us having scripts with the same name as someone else's scripts from another mod and conflicting. So now we've done all of that, we're ready to start creating. So we're going to scroll up here on the left. This is your directory of all the different kinds of references you can have in your mod. So you can see actors, audio, character with all the different things. This is where your quests are, under quest. You've got your items down here, stuff to do with magic, miscellaneous stuff, special effects, world data, world objects. And if you want to view them all, you can hit that down there. And then you can start searching through them using this filter. So anything you type in this box will search through all the records that there are. So I don't know, let's just type that. AD, here are all the things featuring the letters A and D next to each other. So that's all of our stuff. So the idea being you can use this search box then to search for your prefix, JR12, which will return nothing at the moment because we haven't made anything yet. But you should be able to search for that to show you all the records belonging to your mod. Now, Newchem's creation kit fixes also gives you this handy little checkbox, show only active forms. So rather than searching for JR12, you can alternatively just check this and it'll only show you forms that were edited by your mod. So that's extremely handy as well. So we're going to want to go to actors. Here we are. This is all the NPCs in the game. And you're going to want to right click in there. And then you're going to want to hit new. Because we're making a new NPC here. And this is going to have a unique ID. Now this really should be unique from any other IDs in the game. So again, this is where your prefix comes in handy for making sure it's unique. So we're going to go JR12. And the ID is going to be JR12 follower. That's what I'm going to go, JR12 follower. And here you have now got all the different things to fill in to do with your follower. So we'll start with these things here. You can have a name. Now this is going to start off just being, we'll just call him follower for now until we've got the details. And you've got a short version of the name, which is going to be a kind of nickname. Now, the game doesn't use this very often, but it's worth filling anyway. So if we make the name follower Followerius, which is a fine name for a follower, if I do say so, then the short name is just going to be follower. Is chargen face preset will mean this character's face is going to be added to the list of presets. We're going to ignore that for now. And essential is going to be a flag to make sure your follower can't be killed. I am going to check that just to make sure he's not going to die. We don't need to worry about respawn for now. It is going to be unique because this isn't going to be a general NPC that's placed anywhere in the game. This is going to be one specific character. There's only been one version of them. So we're going to put unique there. He's not summonable. He's not a ghost. He's not invulnerable. He does, in fact, bleed. And we're not going to worry about these last ones either. So those are all those checkboxes that we're going to tick. I'm just going to go along to the first tab on the left here, which is traits. And we're going to choose a race for him. Now, this is going to be a Khajiit. So I'm going to go Khajiit race there. And if we just check this box down here, preview, you can get a full body preview of what our character currently looks like. Look at him there in his undies. Poor chap. But we're not going to leave him looking like that. We're going to give our follower a unique appearance. And the easiest way to do that is with the in-game character creator. So let's launch Skyrim. So here we are in the good old Skyrim menu. And I'm going to start by creating a brand new character. I'm using alternate start. So that's going to load us into a tiny little cell straight into the character creator, which is going to be really handy because that's all we need. If you're using a vanilla game, then you're going to have to go through Helgen, but that's fine. The alternative way is to do this through an existing character. If you just bring up Show Race menu through the console, that'll work as well. Just go through these various things. Right. So we're going to have a Khajiit. And let's create this character. So here we are, here's our cheeky little Khajiit. You're probably going to want to spend a lot more time messing around with the face than I did. In particular, you may want to use the race menu mod if you want to have more control over how everything looks. I'm not really fussed about the sort of arty side of this, so I'm going to just park it here. I'm perfectly happy with this, and we can always change it later if we want. So I'm going to give this guy a name, and following the standard Khajiit naming conventions, since this guy's going to have an aptitude for magic, I'm going to start with the prefix J apostrophe, that's J, and then I need a suitable ending for that, and I like the sound of koozie, so it's going to be jacuzzi. Now, I don't know much about my character's personality yet, but what I have decided is that in a word, he's going to be bubbly. Great! So we're all done with him. Here's old Jacuzzi, just chilling as the game starts up and everything. And now the only step remaining, because we're not actually going to play this character, we're just going to open up the console by pressing the little sort of apostrophe button in the top left of your keyboard. And we're going to type SPF Jacuzzi. That's what we're going to do, SPF Jacuzzi. And what that's going to do is export the face we've just made as a face gen file that we can then import into the creation kit. So let's do that. There we go. And we're all done. So let's close down and hop back into the creation kit. So we're back in the creation kit, right where we left off. I'm just going to quickly rename our follower with his new name, Jacuzzi. There we go. And now you're going to want to click your way through these tabs until you find character gen parts. If you click that, these are all the parts that make up your character's face, and you can tweak those however you want here. But like I say, it's easier to do this in-game, so we're just going to import that face gen that we created for Jacuzzi. Hit that, and it's all in there. Our face preview hasn't updated yet, so if you just click again on full there we go, it's updated. Here he is in all his glory. Excellent. So now we're done with his appearance, we can start on the technical nitty-gritty. So head back to the Traits tab, and we're going to begin by setting a voice type. Now the voice type is the voice that your character will speak with. And for the moment, we're going to use a vanilla one, but we'll end up setting our own one later on. So we're going to go with male Khajiit, funnily enough. I'm going to choose that. Not going to worry about weapon list or alignment or anything like that. Or death item or opposite gender animations, which would make him walk like a woman if you wanted him to. Not going to worry about any of those for now. We're going to move straight on to stats. And in stats, I'm going to make our follower, well, you have different options for this. You can set it to level with the player. So if you were to just tick that, it'll mean your character automatically levels up alongside the player. So he'll always be 1 times the player's level. You could set this higher or lower than 1 if you wanted him to be weaker or stronger than the player. And you can set his minimum and his maximum level. However, if you do this, it means you can't have a custom training system like Lucian has. So I'm going to uncheck this, because the purpose of this tutorial is to show you how to do all the things that I do for Lucian. We're going to instead set him to have a constant level, and we're going to set him his level to be level 10. So he's going to start at level 10, and we're going to build our own custom training system for him so that you'll be able to train him yourself. It's going to calculate everything for you here by doing auto calc stats. And so we're almost good to go here. Just the final thing to set is the class. So this is going to be the default class for your character. Again, I'm going to choose a vanilla one for now, but we're probably going to give him his own one later. Now, I thought about making our character be a sneaky Khajiit wielding daggers and attacking from stealth, but I thought that would be a bit rogue. So instead, we're going to go with, let's say monk. The monk class here, which just sets the stats accordingly. But like I say, we're going to come along and tweak this later on, so let's not worry about that too much for now. So now for the next tab, which is factions. So in here is a list of all the factions that your follower is currently in and his rank in each of those factions. As you can see, it's currently empty. We're going to need to add him to 2. The first is called current follower faction. Just select that and hit OK, and then we're going to need to change the rank. So click on it and press F2. That allows you to edit the rank here and change that to -1 and hit enter. And then the second faction we need to add him to is the potential follower faction, which is this one. So select that, press OK. You can leave that rank at 0. Don't worry about the assigned crime faction for now because he's going to be traveling with you. And that's all we need to do here. So moving on from that, we're going to skip over the next couple of tabs, relationships and keywords, because we don't need those, and we're going to go straight to AI data. Now, these attributes are all to do with your character's AI, funnily enough, and we're going to start with his aggression. Now, unaggressive is not very helpful, because that means he won't fight back, so we're going to pop him over to aggressive, which means he'll help you out with enemies. Ignore mood and ignore morality for the moment. We're not going to worry about those for now. Morality controls what crimes will bother your NPC. I'm just going to leave it at no crime for the moment. Confidence. Now, I would recommend setting this to foolhardy. This is how confident your follower is in jumping in with fights and how likely he is to run away. Now, a follower that runs away, which will happen with any of these 4 options, is not very useful in combat and might well end up being frustrating. So I'd set it to foolhardy if I were you. And assistance, you're going to want helps, friends and allies so that he'll muck in when you're up against a dragon. Don't worry about aggro radius behavior. Don't worry about gift filter because that's completely meaningless. But combat style, you're going to want to choose. So who do you want him to fight like? We're going to give him his own combat style later on, but for now, we're going to give him human boss one-handed, which will give him a slight preference towards one-handed weapons. So having set that up, ignore AI packages for the moment, we'll come back to that later. So next on the list is inventory or inventory. I don't know how you want to pronounce that yourself. But you're going to start by setting a default outfit. So this is what he'll wear by default before you've given him anything. And I'm going to choose the DLC 2. That's stuff to do with Dragonborn DLC. And I'm going to do DLC 2 Fine Clothes Outfit 02. And then if you hit full preview again, that'll update. There we go. He looks nice and smart. I'm happy with that. I'm also going to give him a weapon. So we're going to click in this box here and we're going to choose Iron Sword. There we go. He's got an iron sword. We're not going to set any ownership for the iron sword because we want you to be able to take that from him with no issue. So we'll just leave all of that as it is. So now on to spell list. These are the spells that your character learns. I recommend starting them off with a couple. Give them healing. That's quite handy if they can heal themselves in a fight. And you may also want to give them a projectile spell. So let's give this guy, maybe let's give him sparks. So he can throw around a little bit of lightning. There you go, healing and sparks. That ought to do for now. And don't worry about any of the rest of these tabs. They're no good to us right now. You're absolutely fine. So we're done with this actor dialogue, so we can close it all down. Just hit OK. Don't click cancel or you'll lose everything. Just hit OK. And remember then to save your mod. It's absolutely vital that you save your plugin after you've done pretty much anything, because the creation kit can crash at any time, particularly if you're using the classic creation kit. The 64-bit creation kit is quite a lot more stable, but it does still crash, so remember to keep saving. So before we can place our character in the world, the final thing we have to do is create a relationship between him and the player. Wink. I'm kidding, it's nothing to do with that. What it is a flag that tells the game Jacuzzi's on your side. So if you click on the relationships thing and do new again, we're creating a new relationship here. We're going to go JR12, Jacuzzi player relationship. And we're going to set the parent NPC to, and if you just start typing the name of your NPC, so this is JR12 follower, because we set him to unique, it should come up like that, so that's fine. And then the child NPC, we're going to have the player. So if we type in player, there we go. And the relationship level is going to be ally, which means he's going to help us and be on our side. And there we go. Don't worry about association type for now. That doesn't matter unless you want them to be married or anything like that. So just leave that exactly where it is on none and just hit OK. And save again. So now it's time to place our follower in the game. So if you go down to the bottom right, you'll find the cell view window. And here, because I'm on interiors, we have a list of all the interior cells in the game. You can also get all the various other world spaces like Solstheim, etc., which are all listed there. But if you want an interior cell, it'll be under interiors. If you just start typing when you've got this selected, it'll automatically search for whatever you type in. So we're going to want Winterhold. I'm just typing in Winterhold. There we are. And we're going to want Winterhold, the Frozen Hearth, because that's where I want to put our follower. So just double click on that and it'll start loading up. You'll probably have some warnings, which you have to hit yes to all on again if you're on Classic Creation Kit. Here we are. You get a 3D preview of the cell you're interested in. You can drag around by middle clicking with your mouse and dragging the mouse. And you can rotate your view by holding shift and moving your mouse around. Those are the two main things you need to navigate. So we're just going to find a space. It doesn't matter where because your NPC will sandbox and find somewhere to sit down. So just this space will do. Go to the Actors tab, find your follower. There he is, JR12, and just drag him in. And when you let go, there he is, looking resplendent in his fine clothes. So once you've done that, just save the game, and we're ready to go and meet him. Now before you launch Skyrim, make sure your new ESP is activated. You can do that either through your mod manager or through the game's launcher. Once that's done, you're ready to go and find your new friend. So here we are back at the Skyrim menu. Now to get to Jacuzzi as quickly as possible, I recommend using the console to teleport there using the command COC and then the ID of the cell you'd like to teleport to, which is Winterhold, the Frozen Hearth. So if you just hit enter there, Et voila, we have arrived in the Frozen Hearth. Now, just skipping through these various dialogues as all the various mods start up.
Applicants these days.
Let's
so
go and
don't
find
bother
our
asking.
friend. Where is he? Here he is. Hello.
Good to see you.
Hello. Follow me. I need your help.
Then lead on, friend.
Now, you'll notice he has all the functionality of a vanilla follower, and that is because his voice type that we chose, male Khajiit, is compatible with the vanilla
Khajiit
system.
got your
It has
back.
all these lines already implemented, so you don't need to do anything to set them up. However, you may note that his face is quite a lot darker than we expected it to be. I designed him to be grey in colour, and his face is actually much closer to black. Now, this is what's known as the dark face bug, and that occurs because we haven't properly exported our FaceGen files from the creation kit. So to fix it, here's what you do. Return to the creation kit, click on the record for your NPC, and press Ctrl and F4. That brings up this dialog, export FaceGen data for all selected NPCs. So just hit yes, wait for it, and it's done. Now let's try it again. Right, here we are, back in the Frozen Hearth. Let's go find
Mages don't let
Jacuzzi.
us go in the
Here
car.
he is.
They
Hello,
said it's
friend.
not safe.
Hello, and look, his face
Then
is
lead
the
on,
right
friend.
colour. Come on, up you get. Let's have a look at you. Wonderful,
You are taking us
wonderful.
somewhere warm, I trust.
Lovely and grey, just as we designed it. Oh, being pushed right up close. Hello.
Was there anything else?
No, there wasn't. And that's all we've got time for today. You now have a fully functional vanilla-voiced follower to run around with you in Skyrim and go on adventures. Now, if you want, you could finish the mod there, and for a lot of people on the Nexus, that's exactly what they do. However, if you'd like to make your follower a little bit more complex, join me next time where we'll start giving them a custom voice. Thanks so much for watching. If you've got any questions at all, please do hit me up on one of my Skyrim modding workshops on Twitch, and I'll see you all again really soon. Bye-bye!